Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. The science fiction club, Heimdal Science Fiction, has been fortunate to be able to send a local student to NASA's Space Camp Aviation Challenge in Huntsville, Alabama for the past 3 years. This year's student is Whiton Erikson, and he's here tonight to tell us about his trip. Whiton, I'm so glad to have you as my guest. As we begin, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to school, how old you are.
I am 13 years old, and I'm about to start 8th grade in Amherst Middle School.
Cool. Now, you just spent a week at the Space Camp Aviation Challenge in Huntsville. When did you go, and how long did you stay?
I believe it was June 5th, I think.
And you were there how long?
Just 1 week, from just weekdays, Monday through Friday.
Did you have a good time?
Yes.
Was it everything you thought it might be?
It was different than what I thought it was, but it was still really great.
Great. Now, you've brought your jumpsuit, and I want you to show it to everybody. If you can just reach down there and get it, and tell us about this jumpsuit.
I got this on the second day. When you first get it, it has your name on this little badge with some wings, and on the first day it's flipped upside down, and on the last day when you graduate, they come around, they rip it off and turn it right side up.
How cool. All right, now this is different from there are two different programs really that are part of the Space Camp program, and one is the Space Camp program and then Aviation Challenge, is that right? And this is the jumpsuit for
Aviation Challenge.
All right, and we'll have a picture later of the jumpsuit for the Space Camp thing. All right, thank you for bringing that. What kind of preparation did you have to make to go to Space Camp? Did you have to have a physical, or did you have to fill out any papers or anything like that?
It was pretty much just your standard going to any camp.
Okay.
Not really anything special.
You know, they put you through so much physical stuff and the simulators and that kind of thing, and I didn't know if you had to have anything different.
I don't remember anything like that.
All right, what kind of activities did you do at the Space Camp and the Aviation Challenge?
It pretty much was mostly simulators. We also did a sort of a mock-up space mission, as you would call it.
Right. That's really cool. Did you know anybody at Space Camp, or are there just kids there who get to be friends while they are there?
I didn't know anyone starting there, but I did make a few friends while I was there.
Great. Are they friends you think you'll stay friends with?
If I can keep in contact
with them. All right, tell me about, I know more about the Space Camp part of this, but I don't know a lot about the Aviation Challenge. Will you tell me what that is?
It's pretty much for the whole week. If you just take the Aviation Challenge, they try to put you into the shoes of a military pilot and also a Navy SEAL.
Cool.
So they do F-18 simulators, and if you are in just the Aviation Challenge, you'll do a escape and evasion activity, which I'm not exactly sure what that is.
But you did both parts. You did the Space Camp part and the Aviation Challenge.
Yes.
Did you split a day? Was your day split, like you did one half of the day and the other part of the day you did the other?
Yes, the lunch was the line between the two.
Cool. All right. You brought some pictures, and we'll go on and show those pictures and let you tell us what they are when Phil puts them up on the screen.
This is pretty much they try to simulate a takeoff of a rocket or a space shuttle, and you get on and it shoots you up. Really.
You get on this thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a helicopter right in front of it, and when you're at the top, you're looking directly down on that helicopter.
Oh my goodness. So how high is this?
I'm not exactly sure. I Yeah, I'm not sure.
How do they get you to the top?
It's air pressured. As you're sitting there waiting for it to take off, you can hear the hissing of some compressors.
That is really something. All right, Bill, all right.
This is pretty much, I tried to take a picture of the whole space camp area. It has the shuttle there, and you can see 2 of the rockets there. And those are the trailers where the staff sleeps.
That's pretty impressive, just to be in a trailer and walk outside your trailer and look up and see a rocket. I like it.
This was part of the Space Shuttle mission simulator. It's the mock-up of the space mission control. The prop, where it says prop, that was the abbreviation for propulsions officer, which is what I did. I was in charge of the engines, basically. This is just another shot of me trying to get the space shuttle in a pretty shot. And down at the bottom. This is another picture of the space shot thing, where they shoot you up, and down at the bottom is something called G-force, where they try to simulate, well, I'm not sure what it's doing in the space part, but they have one similar to it in the Aviation challenge, where they were just simulating a high G turn. I've forgotten the name of this now, but it's very interesting to ride.
I can imagine. Is it like a gyroscope?
Yes, it's very similar to that, and a lot of people thought you would get sick on it, but you don't, because your stomach is exactly in the middle of it, so that's not moving, so you don't get sick on it.
So your head moving doesn't affect you because of the location of your stomach?
Yeah. This is a 1/6 chair. It's meant to simulate being on Mars. Sorry, not Mars. The moon.
Okay.
And it was just a very small, awkward feeling chair attached to a spring system, and you would bounce around and have fun.
That sounds wonderful. My husband wants to go, so we got things to tell him.
That's another picture of the gyroscope thing we saw before.
And is that you in it?
No,
No.
I didn't get any pictures of me. This was, part of Aviation Challenge was doing survival training, and we had to make a tent out of a parachute.
I wondered what that was.
This is a 5 Degrees of Freedom chair. It's meant to simulate what astronauts used to use for spacewalks. It used air to move yourself around. You could turn yourself left and right and back and forwards, and you could tilt yourself. This is the space camp flight suit.
Okay.
This is where we would sleep. It's meant to look like some science thing.
What a wonderful dormitory to be in.
It was interesting because they had bunk beds, and the person on the top their roof was curved, and you would tap on it, and it was metal and kind of cool looking. This is just their array of rockets they have. There's a couple of missiles they have for the Army and Air Force, and there's a couple of satellite rockets.
That's pretty impressive to see them all there lined up together.
And they don't look very big on this, but they're
Huge.
That's just their symbol.
Space Camp logo. All right, wonderful pictures. I can't imagine being in those simulators. That must have been a lot of fun. All right, you know, as I said, I'm not as familiar with the Aviation Challenge as I am with the Space Camp part of this. So does this Aviation Challenge prepare you for a career in aviation, you think, or give you an idea of what a career like that would be like?
Yes, I think they tried very well. I was watching some of, they had basically 3 different levels that you could be in, Mach 1, Mach 2, and Mach 3. And you could see some of the Mach 3 students there. They were lined up and they had a military instructor yelling at them, so it seemed like a...
Pretty realistic.
Yes.
All right, to look at a military aviation career, is that something you're interested in?
Yes, I plan to go to 2 colleges I have already in mind, to go to undergraduates at Virginia Tech and then graduates at MIT in aeronautical engineering.
That's wonderful.
And then be an engineer in the Air Force.
I think it's great that you are thinking that far ahead right now and that you're interested and excited about a career. Your mom told me you have a flight simulator in your room, and I really like that.
It's a World War II simulator. A couple of years ago I got a complete air set. It has a joystick, throttle, and rotor pedals all built into
wonderful.
it. It's really fun to fly.
That really is wonderful. Now you mentioned the Mach 1 and 2, and you were in Mach 2?
Yes.
What was involved with that?
It was, like I said earlier, basic survival training, just fire in tents and your basic stuff. But you also had a tour of some of the retired Air Force and Army aircraft they have there, and you also had some flight simulators. How old are some of these planes? I saw some online, but I didn't know what they were. They have some that were from just a couple of years ago that were retired. I think their oldest one is a MiG-17 Fresco, which was a Cold War aircraft, one of the first jets.
I think it's exciting that you got to see that while you were there. So, were there different simulators for the Aviation Challenge and the Space Camp part of it?
Yes, they were in 2 separate areas. You had to ride a bus from one to the other. So Space Camp had its simulators and Aviation Challenge had its.
Were you actually weightless?
No.
No. I would think that would be something exciting to see what that felt like. When did you wear your flight suit?
I wore it the first day I got it, which I think was the second day on Tuesday. And you also had to wear it at graduation if you had gotten one.
Okay. Now you were in the simulated space mission. Did you have a flight suit or a space suit to do that?
Since I was in mission control, I did not have one.
So you were down, you were on Earth, not above Earth. Usually, from what I understand, there's something goes wrong on the mission, and then you have to troubleshoot how to straighten it out and get everybody back safely. Did you have that?
We did have one, but we were scrambling around, and while we were doing that, it fixed itself. So.
Oh, that's the best kind of problem to have. I was going to ask you what mission control, how mission control deals with stuff like that from the ground. But if it fixed itself, that couldn't have been better, could it? All right. I've lost my place here. Exercises. Did they give you specific exercises that you had to do, like on a space mission team?
Not really. They told you what all the different positions were and just a very basic what you had to do, and then they put you in the mission.
All right. How many people were on your team?
I'm not sure exactly. I'd say at least 20.
Now there were teams. There was a team aviation challenge team and also a space camp.
We were all the same
Okay.
people.
All right, so everybody did everything.
Yes.
It wasn't like you had a choice to do one or the other. It was all together. Okay. I keep asking about this mission because I keep thinking how exciting it would be to be up there and have something go wrong and try to figure out how to make it go right. But you seem to have done it very well with no problem. Can you tell us, even though it straightened itself out, what your team's emergency was?
Well, one part of it did not fix itself. The pilot had to manually fly it in. Autopilot had failed. The other part was they had some landing flaps trouble.
So it wasn't anything bad, like part of the spaceship fell off?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you just, for people who are watching and maybe would like to go to space camp, can you sort of tell us what a day was like at space camp?
Well, you'd wake up around 7 o'clock. I'd usually wake up a little earlier than that. But they'd bang on your door, and you have a half an hour to get ready. And then right after that, your team leader comes in and takes you to breakfast. Sometimes you have to do an activity first because they have different groups lined up for different times. And then the meals were actually pretty good.
Were they?
None
of that dehydrated space food you see at the Smithsonian? Okay.
None of that. Afterwards, you would go into different space activities, such as things like you did a scavenger hunt one day where you had to go around and find different rockets and missiles, and you would go on simulators some days. And then those were pretty much back to back. You do all sorts of activities up until lunch. At one point we did have to make a model rocket, so that was good. Going through the week. And then we went off to lunch, and then after lunch a different team leader came, and you got on a bus and went to the Aviation Challenge. And then there you'd also do more activities. It was mostly training on the flight simulators, because at the end of the week you had a Top Gun contest.
Cool.
You had to pretty much get in a big dogfight and shoot everybody.
And that's on the simulators?
Yes.
I just think that's so interesting. Did you have any time that was spare time?
No, we did not.
It didn't sound like it. All right, somebody told me, one of the other students that we sent several years ago said that they put them in snorkel gear and had them throw bowling balls through basketball hoops. Did you all do any of that?
No, we did not. We saw a couple of kids doing it, but we did not get to do it.
Did you get to meet any of the astronauts?
Mr. Story Musgrave came in on the last day, and next to last day, and we all were in a big auditorium, and he pretty much did a story of his life in pictures, and then he also gave a little speech at the graduation.
That's good. I mean, that you have an opportunity to meet somebody like that. Did they mention what the future is going to be like for space camp now that we've cut back on our space travel?
There wasn't any discussion about that, or even any rumor or hint of that while I was there.
Are you interested in our country's space program?
Not as much as I am the aviation. But I do think it's interesting to learn about space and where we are in this universe.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I really do think so. How about the space camp? You don't think that's going to be affected by this, by the cutback?
Not while what I've heard.
I would hope not, because it's still such an excellent educational opportunity, and you get to do such cool things. So would you like to go again?
Yes, I really would.
Most of the people that we've sent, that's one of the things they say, that they saw so many things and they did so many good things the first time around, but there were so many things that they didn't get to see that they would like to have an opportunity to do and to see. Did the experience interest you in any particular area of aviation or space, or are you just interested in everything?
I'm just interested in everything.
Do you think that this experience will help you in making a career choice?
More than what I had already planned, probably a little bit. I did see that there were many other options that were not flying in the Air Force, but yeah.
That's what I think is interesting. When you look at this program, it's not just going into space or flying the planes. There's so much involved in the technology of it. So I see that you're going to have a pretty fantastic career, and we can probably say I remember Whiton when we sent him to space camp. If you had something to say to people who were interested in going to space camp, to interest them in it, what would you tell them?
If they come to your school and they give you this opportunity, even if you don't think you're a very good writer, do it anyway, because it's a wonderful experience, and it's really something that you should go for if you're ever given an opportunity like this.
I was going to ask you, and I forgot to do it, how you really got this scholarship, what you had to do it.
Well, they came in, and my Extend teacher first brought it up, and you had to write something like a 500-word essay, and they'd judge it and give you an answer whether they thought you should go. And I didn't think very much of it at first. I just,
thought you'd do it?
And towards the end of the time, right before you had to turn it in, I just said, okay, I might do this, and started working on it. In my mind, all I think I did was write a couple of questions down and send it in. But
we have a space camp committee that reads your essays, and I've forgotten how many essays we got this year, but everybody gets points. You, across the board, got the best points. I mean, everybody. It was just hands down. That I think that your essay said, it said that you wanted a career in aviation, and that this would give you such an opportunity, and I think that that's what everybody was looking for. So we thought you were pretty great. I also enjoyed going to your school and surprising you that day. I went to Whiton's school and interrupted his English class and walked in and told him that he had won this scholarship. And you looked just totally surprised. How did that make you feel?
I was definitely excited, but I did have some worries because I had no idea what this was like. So I was a little worried, but I was still very excited, and I didn't look too terribly excited. I did look pretty excited, but I was also trying to fix that computer.
I thought when I walked in, Whiton's English teacher was having a problem with a computer, and I told him he'd won this, and he looked up and smiled, and he went right back and fixed her computer. She said she didn't know how to do it, so I thought that was really cool. It shows that you're task-oriented. But something else while I was there, there was so much interest from your classmates. They stopped and asked questions about space camp and what it involved and that kind of thing. Have you seen any of them since you've been back from this trip?
I have. Everyone that I've seen they see me, they say, hey, and the first question is, how is space camp? And I'd give them the little rundown.
They didn't have anything extra while you were there, like last year they had this traveling Star Wars exhibit there at Space Camp. Did they have anything like that while you were there?
They had a dinosaur exhibit. They had the most, what they called the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton and the largest there. So.
Was that a traveling exhibit or
Yeah.
just something that's there all the time?
It was a traveling exhibit.
I think it's really exciting that they have these things that are coming and going. All right, so you're starting in what grade?
8th grade.
8th grade, and that's very soon, isn't it?
Monday.
And we have really gotten you into public speaking because you're going to be on this show, and then you're going to come and speak to our science fiction group and meet the people who sent you on this trip. I thank you, Whiton, so much for coming and being my guest. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this experience? We have a couple minutes.
It's just one of the best experiences I've ever had.
All right. Thank you again. I hope you get to go again, and I hope that your career is everything that you're planning for it to be. Enjoy this time of your life. It's the best time.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I hope you all have enjoyed tonight's show and for having the opportunity to meet Whiton and listen to his wonderful experience he had at Space Camp and the Aviation Challenge. My next show will feature the bed bug crisis in the U.S. That we've been hearing about on the news, and I have to tell you that researching this show 2 days in a row, I never stopped scratching and itching, so I hope that that won't happen to you all when